What happens when the line between love and lies begins to blur? Welcome to Wicked Games. Part 1. A sizzling, emotionally charged audiobook by T.K. Leigh that dives deep into a world where secrets simmer, passion ignites, and trust is the most dangerous game of all. When hearts collide and past wounds refuse to stay buried, nothing is as it seems. Beneath the charm, the chemistry, and the undeniable pull lies a tangled web of betrayal, hidden motives, and unfinished business. In this story, love isn't simple, it's strategic, and every move comes with consequences. Perfect for fans of romantic suspense. Wicked Games pulls you into a tale where nothing can be taken at face value, and the most dangerous risk of all might just be falling in love. Are you ready to play? Chapter 1. I've often wondered what hell would be like. Not really out of fear, more like curiosity. Is it full of fire and brimstone? As I heard them speak of the handful of times my parents dragged me to church as a child. Or maybe everyone's hell is personal. Maybe Hitler's hell is filled with all the people he thought were inferior to him. Jack the Ripper is probably surrounded by prostitutes who emasculate him, cutting his throat and abdomen, and Ted Bundy is most likely alone. Not a single person there to impress or feel self-important around. Just like my hell would be a nightclub 50 stories above the Vegas Strip, drunk people grinding up against each other. And the sentence Lucifer would give me when I arrive at the fiery gates to serve eternal damnation at a bachelorette party that never ends. Yup, I have arrived at my own personal hell. Blowjobs. That's what we need right now. I close my eyes, summoning the strength to feign excitement over the idea of drinking a disgustingly sweet mixture of Baileys, Kahlua, and half, all topped with whipped cream. If my cousin, Hannah, and I weren't like sisters when we were kids, I wouldn't be wearing a necklace of penises and a tight black tank top. Bride's bitch bedazzled on the front, enduring this bachelorette party that's filled with one cliché after another. I sure hope this city's marketing slogan is correct. This entire experience needs to stay in Vegas. Yes, Hannah slurs, agreeing with Bernadette, her older sister and maid of honor, who planned this excursion to the 10th circle of hell. She struggles to get up from the couch where she's sitting, tripping over several pairs of legs as she attempts to flag down our cocktail waitress. Blowjobs all around. Whistles and cheers erupt as two guys with far too much hair product jump at the opportunity to join us. I'll buy you those if you return the favor with the real thing, the tall, slender blonde says, his suggestive gaze scanning our group in a way that reminds me of someone selecting produce at a farmer's market, looking for the ripest tomato, the juiciest peach. I glance to my left, giving Izzy a knowing look. Hannah, Izzy, and I were inseparable growing up. For the longest time, I couldn't imagine my life without them at my side. We went through all of life's big changes together. Puberty, first boyfriends, first kisses. Then my parents divorced and my mom took me from Connecticut to New Jersey, where she unsuccessfully attempted to piece her life back together. I'm not sure you could handle the real thing, a petite brunette named Carmen says, suggestively licking her lips. Desperate for a break from what's become a sex-charged day in the city of sin, I extract myself from our group. Bathroom, Izzy asks. Or did you change your mind on the scavenger hunt and decide to... She picks up a printed piece of cardstock and reads, "Build a penis with objects found at the bar." She rolls her eyes at the absurdity of it all. Tempting. I give her a tight smile, but I think I'll pass. I'm going to the bar to get a drink. But they ordered blowjob shots, she retorts sarcastically, taking a sip of her vodka tonic. I refuse to do any shot made in such a way to make it appear I have cum on my face when I drink it. Izzy coughs, liquid spraying out of her nose and mouth. Who the hell invented that shot? Probably someone who didn't give or receive blowjobs that often. If you do it right, you won't end up with cum on your face. Unless that's what you want. If that's the case, more power to you. To each their own. She coughs a few more times, then clears her throat. God, I've missed you, Chloe. Missed you too. Want anything? She holds up her glass. I'm good. Okay, I'm off to brave the elements. I spin on my heels. Good luck, she calls out. At least now that night has fallen, and we're in a darkened space. The stereotypical tank top that's been my bachelorette party uniform isn't as noticeable. Bernadette thought each of us wearing a shirt with bride's bitch on it was hysterical, and hers saying bitch of honor even more so. I bit my tongue so hard it almost bled in order to prevent myself from telling her how juvenile I think this entire weekend truly is, that it's not the kind of bachelorette party Hannah envisioned. She's too nice to say anything. She's always been that way. Strobe lights pulse as I maneuver my way through crowds of people congregated around small tables and lush leather couches. The smell of perfume, combined with beer and fruity alcohol mixtures, fills the air. Scantily dressed waitresses pass by carrying trays overflowing with drinks while the vibration of the driving club music seems to make the floor shake. Despite the temperatures being on the chilly side, considering night's fallen, the sheer number of people present increases the heat level, causing perspiration to form on my brow. All walks of life are represented here. Everyone pretending to be someone they're not for one weekend of sin. I don't need a weekend of sin. I sin on a regular basis. I squeeze my way up to the bar and catch the bartender's attention immediately, my gray and lilac-colored ombre hair standing out in a sea of blondes and brunettes. "What can I get you?" "Martini. Dirty." "You got it." He turns and grabs the vodka bottle, pouring a heaping amount into the cocktail shaker. "Having a good time?" "Absolutely." I grit out a smile. "Liar," he responds with a wink. "That obvious. Maybe I'm just observant. You don't seem to fit in with your friends over there." He nods toward the bachelorette party. I look at him incredulously, wondering how he'd notice me when pouring drinks all night. Then I glance back at the girls, raising my 5'2" frame onto my tiptoes to peer over the ocean of people, grimacing when I see Bernadette's shoved a brightly colored shooter between her boobs and one of our new friends is taking the shot from her without the use of his hands. We're definitely hard to miss. Bernadette made sure of that. "What makes you say that?" I muse when I return my attention to him. "You don't exactly scream desperate housewife." He grabs a long metal spoon and stirs my martini. If nothing else, he understands a great martini should be stirred, not shaken, as Mr. Bond would have you believe. "At least I'm doing something right." "You certainly are." He pours the liquid through the strainer and into a chilled glass, then pushes it toward me. "Enjoy." With a smile, I place a bill on the counter and turn from him. If I were anywhere else, I might have given him my number with instructions to call when his shift was over. I'd rather not leave any piece of myself in this town. As I emerge from the mosh of people, I look in the direction of the girls, only to find most of them grinding with complete strangers. Except for Hannah and Izzy, they're off to the side, distancing themselves from the debauchery currently underway amongst the rest of the women. All I can do is pray this kind of behavior doesn't rub off on Hannah. Then again, she's 28. She had her fun during her younger years, unlike her sister, Bernadette, who got married when she was 20, a shotgun wedding because she was pregnant. How much I hear a voice say as I start toward them. It's so random and out of context I don't react at first. Then a hand grips my bicep, preventing me from taking another step. I whirl around, my fierce eyes settling on a man of average height and build. His black shirt is tucked into a pair of dark jeans, a gray blazer finishing the ensemble. "Excuse me," I said. He loosens his grasp on my arm, licking his lips as he leers at me, wavering slightly. I can smell the alcohol on his breath. Great. Another guy emboldened with the help of Jim Beam, Jack Daniels, or Jose Cuervo? Possibly a combination of all three. "How much?" "For what?" He chuckles in feigned amusement. Then his expression falls, his eyes heating as they rake over me. "I get it. You're discreet. I can be discreet, too." Winking. He reaches into his pocket and retrieves his wallet, flashing what I estimate to be several thousand in hundreds. He either got lucky shooting craps or hit up a few ATMs earlier. I'm guessing the latter. Like I said, "How much?" I shake my head, backing away from him. I am not a prostitute. My tone is firm, leaving no room for argument. He blows out a laugh. "Sure, you're not a prostitute, just like I'm the fucking Easter Bunny. I can pretend to be someone I'm not. Too, sweetheart. Trust me, I have an eye for these things. And any woman who comes into a club wearing a ridiculously tight tank top, a skirt that rides up her ass, and has hair colored like yours just screams whore. Fire flames on my face and I ball my free hand into a fist before I can reel back and land a blow. He grips my hip, yanking my body against his, causing my martini to splash between us. We can do this the easy way or the hard way, but every second you play hard to get, the amount I pay you will decrease. If I were you, I'd give careful consideration to the next words that come out of your mouth. You got me. My jaw clenches as my distaste for him grows with each heartbeat. Like I said, I place a hand on his chest, glowering. I am not a prostitute. So I'd suggest taking your disgusting paws off me before I kick my apparent hooker heel into your balls and press so hard they'll hear them pop all the way in Los Angeles. You got me, I finish, throwing his words back at him. His composure cracks momentarily, but he's either too drunk or too dumb to get the hint. You're a feisty one, aren't you? I dig it. He loops his arm around my waist, pulling me even harder against him. Come on, tell me your price. My heart rate spikes and bile rises in my throat when his erection pushes against my stomach. What the hell is it about men these days who think they can treat women like property? Who think it's their God-given right to exert dominance over the opposite sex? Like I told you, I'm not— Oh, there you are, a deep voice bellows, cutting through. I whip my eyes in its direction, disoriented when an arm wraps around me, prying me out of the creep's grasp. I'm startled at first, taken aback by the strong embrace currently holding me, but unlike before, I don't feel the overwhelming sense of dread and disgust. I can't leave you alone for a second, can I? When he pulls back, I meet brilliant green eyes that seem to penetrate deeper than they should, considering they belong to a stranger. Then again, there's something oddly familiar about him, making me think I should know him. But I'd remember someone like him, wouldn't I? He towers over me, making me estimate he's 6'3" or 6'4", since I only come up to his pecs. He has a proud face, chiseled cheekbones, square jaw, masculine nose. His dark hair is a little messy, but in a sexy kind of way. Although he sports a beard and mustache, it's impeccably groomed. In fact, everything about him is impeccably groomed. Granted, we're at a club in Vegas with a rather strict dress code, at least for men, but something about the way he carries himself with a cool confidence makes him stand out amongst a sea of men just looking for a quick piece of ass. The dark jeans and tweed jacket make me think he'd be more comfortable at a cigar bar, sipping scotch. Jazz standards playing in the background. Can I, he repeats, giving me a knowing look, encouraging me to play along. So that's what I do. I guess not. I face the creep, a smug smile on my face as I burrow deeper into my mystery man's embrace. Like I said, this, I gesture down my body, isn't for sale. Even if it were, you would never be able to afford it, baby. Not with that wallet you flashed me. He opens his mouth to argue, but all my mystery man has to do is puff out his chest and he snaps his jaw shut, turning from me. And for future reference, my mystery man calls out, keeping his arm wrapped around me, despite the threat waning. The creep looks back at him. When a lady says she's not interested, it's not an invitation to press the issue. If I find you've caused any more problems or offer any other woman money to sleep with you, there are two rather large gentlemen manning the front door who will have no problem helping you learn this lesson differently. He smiles a fake smile. You got me. Yeah, sure, whatever. He shuffles away. What a tool, my mystery man remarks as he drops his hold, turning to face me, his eyes filled with concern. Are you all right? He didn't hurt you, did he? I'm fine. I snap. I can handle myself. But thank you for intervening on my behalf. It wasn't necessary. I begin to retreat from him. If I didn't hate Vegas before, I do now. With it being the stereotypical destination for a hormonally charged bachelor or bachelorette party, it's open season to hit on anything with a pulse. I wish people had to take a test before entering the proverbial Vegas wildlife, like hunters have to in order to obtain their license to hunt prey. That's what this place is like. A jungle. During mating season. Got a name, he calls out before I can take more than a few steps. Yup, I shout over my shoulder with a smirk. Thanks for checking. You're not going to tell me, he yells when I continue to squeeze my way through the hordes of people. What am I supposed to call you? Dick girl. His words seem to carry over the beat of the music, and I stop in my tracks. Sensing curious eyes watching our interaction, I spin around, stalking toward him. Dick girl. Why? Because I'm wearing a short skirt, and my hair's a little different, so I must really enjoy dick. I'm pretty sure there are lesbians out there who wear short skirts and color their hair differently, too. That doesn't mean they like the dick, does it? Or is it just because we're in Vegas? He's about to respond, but I cut him off before he has a chance to utter a single syllable. My presence in my least favorite city for a ritual I find cliché, trivial, and ordinary. All things I try to avoid being causes the thin filter between my brain and mouth to evaporate. I get it. Some guy who probably considers himself a marketing genius concocted a brilliant ad campaign all those years ago when he came up with this city's tagline. Can you imagine being in the room when the creative team discussed that gem as an option? It's almost like their mission was to come up with the slogan most likely to result in surprise pregnancies, STDs, and infidelity, all of which do not stay in Vegas. He tries to speak again, but I hold up my finger, silencing him. So, as tempting as the idea of living out my wildest fantasies is, and truthfully, you're not so bad to look at, and I do have quite an active imagination. I do not hook up with random strangers, not in this town anyway. But fear not. I give him a trite smile. This city is full of bachelorette party attendees who would love to have a piece of you. Hell, you could probably even score a threesome or foursome, maybe even a fivesome, like a sorority porno gone incredibly wrong. A simple online search will lead you to any number of sex clubs within a short Uber ride from here. But that shit won't be happening with me. I gesture to my crotch area. This pussy is on a much-deserved break. I remain in place as my words seem to ring out between us. I expect him to be stunned and unsure how to respond. Maybe offer an apology for his assumption about me. Instead, he reaches out. I attempt to step back, but before I can, he toys with the chain dangling from my neck. Smirking, he says, I was referring to your necklace. Dick. Girl. A tingle sweeps across my cheeks as my shoulders drop. Thankfully, it's too dark for him or anyone else to see my complexion turn red. Oh, yeah. Oh. He chuckles as his full lips curve in the corners. He flashes his white teeth, his smile exuding a confidence I'm not used to seeing. Something about it intrigues me. It's such a simple thing. The flexing of muscles to turn up your lips, demonstrating happiness, amusement, or any other number of positive emotions. But with that one smile, I feel something I've avoided for years now. Vulnerability. Have a nice night, dick girl. He turns from me, the crowd seeming to part to allow him passage. Then he stops, facing me once more. And, for the record, I didn't ask your name as a preface to sleep with you. I did so because my mother taught me manners, to treat everyone with respect. He keeps his dark eyes locked with mine, allowing his statement to sink in. Stay safe tonight. It's a jungle out there. He treats me to one last smile, then disappears into the crowd, leaving me bewildered. Has being single in New York so long jaded me to the point that I assume every straight man only approaches me because they want to get into my pants? At one point, I dreamed of having the love story I read about in fairy tales, until I realized all fairy tales eventually end. Soon, the prince will question Snow White's devotion to him whenever she runs off to the forest to spend time with the dwarfs. Prince Philip will accuse Aurora of always just lying there, practically asleep, during sex. And poor Aladdin and Jasmine. He'll never stop feeling emasculated every time they have an argument, and she so kindly reminds him that if it weren't for her, he'd still be a street rat. If that's a fairy tale, I want nothing to do with it. Chapter 2. The spicy, robust flavor of red wine dances on my tongue as I relax into my bar stool, savoring these last few moments to myself before embarking on another night of bachelorette party fun. About to flag down the bartender for the check, I stop when my phone pings with an incoming text. On a scale of 1 to murder, how's the bachelorette party? I laugh at how well Nora knows me. After all, she was my college roommate. Even though I ended up leaving before the end of my second year, we've managed to remain friends. Let's put it this way. Most would consider Ted Bundy a compassionate serial killer compared to my brutality. However, any murder I commit would probably be excused as justifiable. Or, at least, I could plead not guilty by reason of insanity. I believe the courts recognize the bachelorette party defense in homicide cases. Her response comes almost instantly. I'm not so sure that's a thing. It should be. And in case I haven't told you, I'm so glad you don't want any of this stuff for your wedding. It makes my job as your maid of honor much easier and won't require me to resort to murder. Blech. The last thing I want is to make my friends suffer through a night of penis jokes and scavenger hunts that border on sexual harassment. Try to have a little fun while you're there, although I know how much you despise Vegas. New York misses you. See you in a few days. I sigh as I lean back in my chair, typing out one last text. And I sure miss New York. See you soon. I close out of our message and open my email, scanning my inbox. As a celebrity news columnist for one of the top women's magazines, I'm required to keep a constant pulse on what's going on in the world of the rich and famous. But this weekend has been quiet. No big breakups, no pregnant celebrities giving birth, no arrogant has-been who thinks he's above the law getting arrested for drinking and driving. For you, miss, I snap my head up just as the bartender places a martini in front of me. I didn't order this. I start to push it across the bar, but he smiles, leaving a cocktail napkin beside the glass. Scribbling in blue ink catches my attention. The pen stroke masculine, but still legible. Thought I'd make up for the martini you didn't get to enjoy last night. There's only one person who could have sent this. On a sharp inhale, I scan the lounge. It's on the darker side. The lighting dim. Votive candles placed sporadically on the bar and each table to add to the romantic ambiance, despite being mere feet from a roulette wheel. As I search for familiar green eyes, I sense a warmth approach from behind. The hairs on my nape stand on end, and I freeze. I wasn't sure what kind of vodka you preferred, so I had to guess based on what little I know about you. But something makes me think you're a Belvedere girl. Smooth, layered, sophisticated. I take a moment to compose myself before facing him. The instant my gaze floats to his, an involuntary shiver rolls through me. A rather astute assessment. I prefer Polish vodkas. Smart woman? His eyes dance as he gestures to the free chair beside me, silently asking permission to sit. I nod, then turn forward once more, smoothing the lines of my gray silk tank, adjusting my navy blue blazer. I'll most likely get shit from Bernadette for not wearing my bride's bitch shirt tonight, but I need to draw the line somewhere. One night was fine. There's no way I'm going to wear that sweat-stained, smoke-infested thing again. As he assumes the chair beside me, his scent filters through my nose, addictive and mouth-watering. It's a woodsy and manly scent, reminiscent of rain on a hot summer day. He flags down the bartender and orders a few fingers of a top-shelf scotch. My assessment of him last night wasn't that far off after all. He would have fit in better at a quiet bar sipping scotch instead of a dance club where everyone was just one tequila shot away from alcohol poisoning. Truth be told, it wasn't my scene, either. I'm not sure what my scene is. Once he takes a sip and exhales in satisfaction, he returns his gaze to me. I tap my nails against the counter, the silence painfully loud. I've never felt so on edge in the presence of a man, so out of sorts. But I felt it last night. And I feel it now. This man is different, despite him being a stranger, despite him barely uttering more than a few sentences to me, despite my not knowing anything about him. When the heat of his stare becomes too much, the connection too palpable, I turn my eyes from his, taking a sip of my martini, the combination of dry vermouth, vodka, and just a hint of olive juice perfect. How did you know I liked my martini dirty? I ask in a smooth voice, trying to calm the butterflies swimming in my stomach by bringing the glass back to my mouth. He licks his lips, leaning toward me. I had a feeling you liked things dirty. I choke on my drink, coughing as I struggle to breathe. He hands me a napkin and I cover my mouth. If anyone else used that line on me, I'd roll my eyes and send them on their way. But this guy isn't saying it to get into my pants. At least, I don't think he is. It's all part of his personality, cool, confident, yet lighthearted. Wouldn't you like to find out I quip once I clear my throat? You have no idea. His voice is guttural and wanton as he inches closer. I zero in on his lips, drawn to them like a moth to a flame. Then he pulls back, bringing his drink to his mouth, acting as if his statement didn't leave me squirming. When he speaks again, he sounds different, his tone lighter and more conversational. A complete 180. More bachelorette festivities planned for the evening. Or is that all over? I draw in a deep breath to compose myself. Don't I wish? I stopped by here to ensure I'm in the right frame of mind for what awaits me. And what is it that awaits you? I'm not sure you want to know. I respond with a roll of my eyes. Is it as bad as doing blowjob shots while wearing a string of penises around your neck? Squinting, I cock my head, his statement catching me off guard. There's no way he'd know about those shots unless he were watching me earlier in the evening. I remind myself it could just be a coincidence. I was at a bachelorette party. It's not a big stretch to assume we'd do blowjob shots. They tend to go hand in hand. That was child's play compared to tonight's festivities. I flash him a coy smile over the top of my glass as I tilt it back, then return it to the bar. Do tell, you can't leave me hanging with a statement like that. His eyes sparkle with amusement and intrigue. What would you say if I told you I'd be learning how to strip and pole dance? My voice comes out breathy, laden with desire as I inch toward him. His expression widens momentarily, muscles clenching, before he recovers, that unaffected attitude returning. I'd say I'd love to see that. I lean even closer, barely a breath between us. I bet you would. I scrape my lips ever so slightly against his. The touch is no more than a whisper, yet it ignites a spark deep within. Maybe later, I can give you a private show of what I learned. But I thought you didn't hook up in this town. I can feel his mouth turn into a wry smile. I thought you said your pussy was on a break. Moisture pools between my thighs. The combination of his proximity and words making me want to blow off tonight and do my own private striptease with my mystery man. An exception can be made. A slight growl escapes his throat, his lips about to press firmly against mine when a loud, shrill voice cuts through. There you are. I quickly tear away, snapping my eyes to my right as Bernadette rushes toward me, her blonde curls bouncing with each long stride. A woman on a mission. As expected, she's still wearing her bitch of honor tank top. I wonder if she slept in it. I've been texting and calling you the past 5 minutes. The party bus is out front. Izzy said you were coming here for a drink and a quick bite. She trails off, halting in her tracks the instant she notices the man beside me. The way his body is positioned makes it apparent we're not simply strangers sitting next to each other at a bar. Her eyes rake over his crisp suit, unshaven jaw, and wayward dark locks. A smirk forms on her lips as she all but salivates over him. I guess you did come for a quick bite. She flirtatiously waggles her brows. He opens his mouth to say something, but she advances, closing in on his personal space like a lioness in heat. He scoots back in his chair to put distance between them, but she doesn't get the hint. I wonder if her husband knows how she's behaved all weekend, that she's shamelessly flirted with anything with a pulse, male and female. Want to come with us? We're about to go to a striptease and pole dancing class. She sticks out her chest, squeezing her arms against her body to make her cleavage pop. I'd love someone to perform for... Rolling my eyes so hard I'm confident I see my ass. I scoot off my stool, stepping between them. I hope I didn't come across as desperate as Bernadette when I propositioned the same thing. I don't think anyone could come across as desperate as Bernadette. I'm ready, I announce, pulling my wallet out of my purse. I just need to pay for my dinner first. I'm about to ask for the check when he places his hand on my forearm. The instant I feel his skin on mine, my pulse skyrockets, breath quickening. I look at him, questioning. I expect him to withdraw his hand. Instead, he lingers, his fingers tracing light circles. It's taken care of, he states with authority. But it's taken care of. This time. His voice is harsher, leaving no room for argument. I part my lips, my words stuck in my throat. How can I make him understand why I don't like the idea of anyone paying for my meal or my drinks? That it makes it easier to walk away after a night, a week, a month, whatever it may be. That it's helped keep my heart guarded. It helps keep their heart guarded too, safe from the inevitable destruction my life will unfold on them. That it brings up too many memories of a past I want to forget. Say okay. His tone is a cross between a plea and demand. Hypnotized, oblivious to everything other than giving him what he wants. I respond, okay. My voice doesn't even sound like my own. I'm a puppet and he my master pulling the strings. He brings his fingers to my chin, tilting my head back. Say thank you. My pulse skyrockets. It's so simple, so innocent, yet has me wondering what it would be like to hear him tell me what to do in the bedroom. And based on what I've observed, he'd do just that. Thank you, I whimper. His lips inch toward mine, every synapse in my body firing. You're welcome. I close my eyes, bracing for his kiss, but it never comes. Instead, he drops his hold on me, the warmth of his breath disappearing. I flutter my eyes open, disoriented. Then I spy Bernadette standing off to the side, smirking like an older sister would when catching the younger one kissing a boy. It's not that far off. At one time, Bernadette was like an older sister, trying to settle my raging hormones. I hop off my bar stool, pretending I'm a composed, professional 28-year-old woman. Bernadette's smirk only grows wider. I keep my head lowered as I loop my arm through hers, dragging her away. Who was that? She whispers once we're outside the restaurant, glancing over her shoulder. The realization hits and I blink repeatedly. I don't know. I stop walking and look back to where I was just sitting. He's no longer there, as if he vanished. If Bernadette hadn't seen him, I'd think I imagined the entire thing. I never got his name. Pity, she replies with a dismissive shrug of her shoulders. He was quite the looker. But fear not. There will be more than enough eye candy for us tonight. She grabs my hand and pulls me toward another night of bachelorette torture. Chapter 3. Relief rolls off my shoulders as I make my way through the quiet corridors of the hotel and toward a bank of elevators, pulling my rollerboard behind me. I don't think I've ever been so happy about a vacation ending as I am about getting on that plane in a few hours. As much as I love Hannah, I'd rather be stuck in my cubicle at the office than in this city for another second. Once I'm in the elevator on my way to the lobby to meet Izzy, I pull my phone out of my purse and type out a quick text to my friend and coworker, Evie. Headed to the airport. I should be back in town around 7. I can't wait to hear all about it. You should do a piece about bachelorette parties for the magazine. But in a way, only your cynicism can truly deliver. I respond, arguing I'm not that cynical. When the elevator slows to a stop on another floor and the doors open, keeping my eyes glued to my phone as I finish my text, I step back to make room for anyone about to get on. That's when a familiar scent hits me, earthy and raw. I snap my head up, my body stiffening when I see him. I thought the first time we ran into each other was simply a chance encounter, the second a coincidence. But a third time, at first, he remains frozen in place, gaze glued to mine. Then a mischievous smile gradually replaces his stunned expression, and he enters, standing unnervingly close as he leans toward me to press the lobby button that's already illuminated. The elevator doors close, leaving us alone in this tiny space that's abuzz with electricity, conscious of every sound, every heartbeat, every breath. I stare straight ahead. With each drawn-out second, my pulse increases, mouth growing dry. I shift from foot to foot, ready to burst from the tension. When the silence becomes unbearable, I float my eyes to his, only to notice he's unabashedly staring at me. Unlike our previous encounters, he's dressed casually in a white linen shirt with the sleeves rolled up to just below his elbows, revealing his muscular forearms. Khaki shorts hang from his hips, a pair of tan flip-flops on his feet. Taking a day off from ruling the world, my voice breaks through. Ruling the world. Exactly. You always act so in charge, so in control. His lips curve up into one of the most sensual grins I've ever seen. Screw Matt Damon's sexy smirk or Brad Pitt's flirtatious smile. They have nothing on this guy. I do like being in control. I attempt to fight against the blush building on my cheeks, averting my gaze. All I hear is his voice from the other night. Say okay, say thank you. And I did. It was so simple, so innocent, yet it lit me up in a way that left me craving him all weekend. His words, his presence, his dominance. I didn't mean it like that. I chew on my bottom lip, fidgeting with the hem of my jacket. I meant you look and act like you have some high-powered job, master of the universe and all that. Master of the universe. He arches a single brow. Yes, I return my eyes to his, shrugging. You know, like He-Man. Well, licking his lips. He closes the distance, the heat of his breath on my neck making me tremble. Appearances can be deceiving. Wouldn't you agree? He pulls back, meeting my gaze. They can be, I reply thoughtfully, masking my shaky voice. But something tells me they're not. Not when it comes to you. Even the master of the universe deserves a day off to enjoy life's pleasures. My nerve endings tingle as that one word hangs in the air, making me hyper-aware of my heartbeat, which I'm confident they can hear in the casino. Hell, they can probably even hear it all the way at the Hoover Dam. I swallow hard, my gaze fixated on his lips, thinking how much pleasure they could give me. Suddenly, the elevator comes to a stop and the doors open, the clanging bells of slot machines breaking our moment. I snap out of my daze, squaring my shoulders as I scramble out of the enclosed space and into the casino, able to breathe again. Normally, I hate the loud noise that meets me every time I step off this elevator, feeling much like the Grinch when he complains about all the noise. Noise down in Whoville. But right now, I find it comforting, at least compared to the anxiety that consumes me whenever I'm in this man's presence. Headed home. When I hear his voice, I look to my right to see him catching up to me. Thankfully, yes. One night in Vegas is too long. I've been here 4. I slow my steps as I near the front doors, scanning the enormous lobby for any sign of Izzy. She's probably still in a ridiculously long line for coffee. God, I hate this city. Aren't you headed out? He asks when I don't follow him outside. I'm waiting for a friend. We're on the same flight. Oh. His expression momentarily falls, but he recovers quickly, smiling, although it doesn't make his eyes sparkle as it usually does. Well, it was nice seeing you again. You too. He hesitates briefly, and I can almost see the words on the tip of his tongue. Then he turns from me, walking out the revolving glass doors. I can't help but admire his long strides, muscular legs, broad shoulders, and what I can only imagine is a firm ass. I almost don't want to look away. But when a ping sounds from my phone, I do just that. Unlocking the screen, I read a text from Evie saying she's spending the night at Julian's and not to worry if she's not at my place when I get home. I reply, telling her she should just officially move in with him. When her boyfriend of 12 years broke up with her, I offered her a place to stay, considering how difficult it is to find an affordable apartment in the city. But now that she has a new man in her life, she hasn't spent much time at my apartment. I'm pretty sure she's also stopped looking for a place of her own. As I finish my text, a slight movement out of the corner of my eye catches my attention. It shouldn't, considering it's Vegas. This entire place is a constant wave of motion. But something draws my gaze toward the doors. When I see my mystery man standing there, his impassioned stare trained on me, I'm stunned, frozen in place, in time, in this moment. The intensity in his stormy green eyes sends a rush of exhilaration through me, leaving me breathless. No man's ever looked at me this way. Or maybe they have, but I ignored it. But I can't ignore him. He starts toward me and everything else seems to disappear. It's quiet. Gone are the obnoxious sounds of slot machines, the tourists rushing by, and the ridiculously loud club music filling the space. Even at 11 in the morning, reaching me, his hand palms the small of my back and he pulls me against him. A spark shoots through me, low and deep, igniting a flame I didn't think would ever be lit again. He brings his other hand to my hair, wrapping his fingers around it, forcing my head back. I stare into his eyes, unable to escape. And I don't want to. Don't want to flee this bubble. I can't leave. He begins, his voice husky, low, sensual. Sure you can, I murmur. All you have to do is put one foot in front of the other and walk through those doors. He slowly shakes his head. No. What I meant to say is I can't leave without... His mouth inches even closer. Without what my lips tingle in anticipation. Without kissing you. My nerves stir as my stomach fills with the wings of 1,000 butterflies, all of them screaming at him to finally get on with it. Then what are you waiting for? His grip on me tightens and he yanks my body harder against his eyes flaring with unyielding desire. He gradually decreases the distance, this torturous dance of seduction making me even more on edge. I'm desperate to feel his lips, to know how they taste. All weekend, I've fantasized about his kiss. Most people would probably wonder what he was like in bed, how he screwed. Not me. There's nothing personal about that. Kissing is much more intimate. Based on what little I know of him, I imagined he kissed with all the confidence he seemed to do everything else. At first, it would be controlled and reserved, but still addictive. He wouldn't be able to hold back for long. It would explode into a passionate exchange, leaving me thoughtless, breathless, soulless, ruining me for all men who would come after him. When his breath dances on my flesh, I close my eyes, bracing to feel his full lips on me. Instead, boisterous voices infiltrate our bubble, a body slamming into me, causing me to teeter on my heels. Forced out of my trance, I glare at a bunch of drunk guys in their 20s, all of them carrying those huge plastic cups containing sugary frozen drinks. It's not even noon, yet they already look like they've been overserved. Are you okay, my mystery man asks, and I return my eyes to his. Of course, I straighten my jacket, even more happy to be going home than I was before. I'm about to ask where we were when an alert interrupts. He reaches into his pocket, withdrawing his cell. My Uber's here. He offers me an apologetic smile. Then he leans in, his mouth a whisper from my neck. Safe travels. He kisses my cheek, his lips lingering on my skin for several long moments. When he pulls away, he holds my gaze before retreating, leaving me feeling like a hormonally imbalanced high school freshman who was nearly kissed by the hot senior quarterback before the prom queen pulled him away. I exhale a breath, taking a moment to collect myself. But I don't have a moment. Izzy hurries toward me, eyes wide in curiosity. Who was that? The tone of her voice indicates she must have seen him kiss my cheek, at the very least. All I can do is shake my head as I shift my attention to the front doors and watch my mystery man slide into the back seat of a dark sedan. Just some guy. Chapter 4. So you mean to tell me that, of the 3 times you've seen him, 4, if you count him coming back to try to kiss me, whatever. Izzy waves me off. That's not the point. The point is that you never thought to ask him his name. Her voice is filled with disbelief at the story I just relayed to her about my run-ins with Mr. Mysterious over the course of the weekend. I did think of it. I relax into my plush lounge chair, bringing my espresso to my lips as we sit in a quiet corner of the airline club. The hectic atmosphere of the airport is nowhere to be found. No screaming children being ignored by their parents who are exhausted after a long day of traveling. No annoying businessmen who feel the need to shout on their cell phones in the hopes that someone thinks they're important. No assholes bitching out the poor airline employee who had nothing to do with the delay of the flight going to Denver, where there's probably snow. In here, I'm able to have a moment of peace. A name is usually the first thing I ask. She interjects before I can say anything else. You'd think with all the time you spent bumping into each other this weekend, you would have gotten that much. It's just, every time I saw him, I shake my head, struggling to come up with the words to describe how his mere presence consumed me. Normally, I'm the confident one. I'm the one calling the shots. I'm the one saying whatever's on my mind without a care for what anyone thinks about me. But not around him. It was quiet. I finish thoughtfully. Quiet Izzy gives me a sideways glance. What do you mean? I place my espresso on the table separating us and lean closer, lowering my voice. All the noise of my life. It was gone. Understanding immediately washes over her, and her expression relaxes. Izzy's one of the few people who truly knows me. All my secrets, all my scars. Yes, Nora's been a great friend since we were college roommates. And once Evie was assigned the cubicle next to mine at the magazine, we formed a quick bond, considering she lacks any brain-to-mouth filter, much like myself. But Izzy knew me before. She knew me when my parents were still together. She knew me when it all fell apart, when I had to lie to my father about being sick so I could miss my weekend with him to take care of my mother during another one of her drinking binges. Something no teenage girl should have to do. But what choice did I have? She was the only family I had left after my father upgraded to a new one. Sometimes you just need someone to quiet it for a minute, she remarks. Because of that, I didn't think a name was necessary. We share a look before I curl my lips into a wicked grin, lightening the mood. You do have to admit the entire scenario is kind of hot. Not knowing his name, anything about him, kind of hot. She fans herself, giggling. Try off the charts. I noticed the chemistry between you two right away. Even if all he did was kiss your cheek. It was incredibly sexy. I can't imagine how it made you feel. Like I could let go. I reply without hesitating. For once, I didn't worry about the fact that we're polar opposites, that he's presumably this guy who has his shit together, whereas I'm lucky if I don't lock myself out of my apartment on a daily basis. But each time I saw him, I didn't think about any of that, didn't try to distance myself because of how it would play out. It's almost like we were in our own little bubble. Bubbles can be good. Then her eyes turn conniving, especially a bubble that sexy. We both break into laughter. I lean back into my chair, at ease with the familiarity of joking with one of my oldest friends. If nothing else, at least I got to spend a little more time with Izzy this weekend than I usually do. While we both live in New York, her job as a nurse in the pediatric oncology unit at one of the local hospitals doesn't give her much time off. Izzy's one of those friends who you can go months without seeing, then pick back up as if you just saw them yesterday. So, what do you think the girls are up to today? I ask after a few minutes. Knowing Bernadette, something cliché and inappropriate, I roll my eyes. Promise me if I ever get that lonely and desperate for attention, you'll smack some sense into me and tell me I don't need to stay in a loveless marriage, that there's better out there for me. You know I will. A chiming cuts through and I float my eyes to the coffee table to see a text from my mother wishing me safe travels. I grab my cell and fire off a quick response, not wanting her to worry. She doing okay? Izzy asks, obviously having seen who the text was from. Yeah. I take another drink of my espresso, finishing it. She's been dating this guy who works in the same building. I stare into the distance, smiling. It's actually a sweet story. Somehow, they kept riding up to their floors in the same elevator. After about a week, he mentioned it to her, said he couldn't ignore it anymore, that it was a sign. A sign, she smirks knowingly. That's not the same thing. I argue, fully aware what she's referring to. Mom works in the same building as Aaron. There's a decent likelihood of running into him again. This thing with me and whoever he is, well, it's different. I have a better chance of winning the lottery than seeing him again. Izzy shrugs. You're probably right, but what if you do? It'll never happen, I say incredulously. I'm about to get on a flight back to New York. He was headed. I wave my hand around. Wherever. So yeah, not going to happen. But if it does, it won't, I insist. But if it does, she presses again. It won't. Yeah, but if it does, I groan, remembering how persistent and annoying Izzy can be. This could go on for hours, even days. Fine. If by some miracle I do see him again, maybe I'll admit there might be a reason for it all. She nods, leaning back in her chair, happy with herself. But it won't happen. She glares at me, feigning annoyance. Always have to have the last word, don't you? I grin, always. My phone dings again and I reach for it, assuming it's a reply from my mother. Unlocking the screen, I see an alert from the airline. Shit, I mutter as Izzy's phone begins to beep. What is it? She scrambles for her cell, presumably reading the same message I received. Damn it. Yup, flight to JFK is canceled. She groans. closing her eyes in frustration. Just how I want to spend my day. Stuck in the airport. And not any airport, I remind her, pointing at the busy terminal that resides just outside the lounge. The subtle sound of slot machines inching their way into our peaceful recluse. McCarran Airport in fabulous Las Vegas. My voice is laden with sarcasm. If the Strip is the 10th circle of hell, this place is purgatory. Glad to see all those literature classes paid off. What flight did they rebook you on, I ask, opening the airline's app on my phone to get my new flight information. Red Eye, 11 p.m. And here's the kicker. No seat assignment available. She holds out her phone so I can see her new itinerary. Me too. I mirror her movement. It looks like they're cramming everyone onto that flight. What are the chances of us actually getting on? I'd like to say they wouldn't rebook us just to tell us no in 10 hours. My mother used to work for an airline. They absolutely would do such a thing. She pinches her lips together, deep in thought, then jumps up. I'll be right back. A woman on a mission. She starts toward the front desk of the lounge, while Izzy speaks to an agent for what I presume to be a solution. I return my attention to my phone, opening the web browser to see if there are any other options. Despite it being a Tuesday and a light travel day, most of the flights to JFK are sold out or, if there are seats available, are way out of my price range. Not to mention, it's after 1 in the afternoon. The next flight into New York doesn't leave until later tonight, even on a different airline. Hey, Izzy says breathlessly. I look up from my phone, eyes brimming with hope. I can get us guaranteed seats on the noon flight tomorrow. The Red Eye is oversold and they'll most likely be forced to rebook again if they can't get enough people with confirmed seats to give them up. You in guaranteed seats or take a risk on the Red Eye? I push out an aggravated breath, pinching the bridge of my nose. As much as I hate the idea of staying in Vegas another night and having to waste even more vacation time, it doesn't seem like there's an option. Guaranteed seats. Give me your boarding pass and I'll get you rebooked. I grab my phone and find my boarding pass, then hand it to her. Thanks. Be right back. I watch as she scurries back to the front desk. She's come a long way from the little girl who was too scared to approach Hannah and me when her family first moved into the neighborhood. Now, Izzy's a typical New Yorker, confident, assured, and always gets her way. After a few minutes, she returns and hands me my phone along with a new airline printout. Here you go. You're all set. Thanks, I say, surprised at her efficiency. If she weren't here, I would have sucked it up and hung around the airport in the hopes of getting on the Red Eye. But now that we're flying out tomorrow, there's another problem. Izzy, we can't go back to the same hotel. Not unless we want to get roped into day 317 of the never-ending bachelorette party. A sly smile builds on her lips. Don't worry, I've got that covered, too. Chapter 5. Where the hell are we? I ask as our Uber driver slows to a stop in front of a gated driveway on the outskirts of Vegas. David Copperfield's house. David. No. Izzy rolls her eyes. But my sources say he lives around here somewhere. Sources? What sources? I'm your source for all things celebrity. Maybe there are some things about me you don't know. She passes me a devious grin before opening the door, stepping onto the street. A little bewildered, I take a minute to collect my things. When she said she had a friend who was more than happy to let us stay the night, I didn't expect to pull up in front of a piece of property that looks like it belongs in Bel Air. A knock on the window rips my attention away from the impressive entrance, and I snap my eyes to Izzy as she opens my door. Are you coming? Or do you want to call Bernadette and see if you can crash with her tonight? Maybe stay up and do a makeover, then go to some pure romance party. I wouldn't mind going to a pure romance party. I scoot out of the car. I'm all for women exploring their sexuality. But I'd pass on the Bernadette makeover, I say as I head toward where our driver stands, holding the handle of my suitcase for me. With the amount of makeup she'd cake on my face and the revealing outfit she'd stuff me in, I'd come out of there looking like a blow-up doll, smiling. I take my bag from the driver as he eyes me up and down, discreetly adjusting the waist of his pants. The Vegas sun beating down on us. I follow Izzy toward the front gate, watching as she enters a code into a box. I can't help but feel like she hasn't been forthcoming about who we're staying with. Granted, I'm not as close to her as I once was, but she would have mentioned knowing someone who owned a palace in Vegas. Wouldn't she? Are you coming? She asks when the gate opens and she continues up the elaborate drive. I suppose, I respond in a drawn-out voice, taking slow steps toward her as I absorb my surroundings. The driveway is made of pavers, the brick matching that of the flower beds lining it, which are filled with succulents. Palm trees shade the path, as well as offer privacy to the occupants. As we round the corner, the house finally coming into view, my jaw drops. I knew we were in a wealthy neighborhood, but I didn't expect this. The sprawling two-story house looks like a snapshot from a home design magazine, a rare peek into how the rich and famous of Las Vegas live and play. I glance at Izzy, my curiosity increasing with every step. She knew the exact house we were going to, told the driver to stop when he was about to pass it. That means she's been here before, I say as we approach the short flight of steps leading to the front door. She stops, flashing her eyes to mine, a single brow raised. Who lives here? Just an old friend from my undergrad days. She avoids my inquisitive stare, smoothing a lock of nearly jet-black hair behind her ear, her olive-toned skin becoming flushed. A friend. Does this friend happen to be of the male persuasion? Yes. She holds her head high, but still doesn't look directly at me. Call me crazy. You certainly are. But I get the feeling there's more to the story than this guy. I wave my hand around at our surroundings. Everything pristine and glamorous. Being just a friend. Her eyes finally meets mine, a flash of indecision filling them. I can physically feel her turmoil, like she wants to tell someone whatever this is, but is scared of the potential backlash. Izzy has a habit of taking everyone's feelings into account with every decision. I rest my hand on her arm. What is it you can tell me anything? I know that, but this... She shakes her head, conflicted, pulling her lip between her teeth. When she looks at me again, a hint of shame covers her expression. Her shoulders fall. It's Asher York. I remain motionless as the name rings out between us. Asher York, as in Jesse York's older brother. She blows out a nervous laugh. It's not exactly a common name, is it? Asher York, the handsome, struggling musician. Yup! The Asher York, with a singing voice that makes you forget your name. That's the one? The Asher York, who looks like a fucking Adonis with a guitar strapped to him. Yes. Chloe, that Asher York? She admits, her voice growing louder, her face blushing even more as the tension momentarily lightens. The Asher York, who would have been your brother-in-law if you hadn't smartened up and called off your engagement to Jesse. Her expression falls and she slowly nods. Exactly. I stare at her, unsure how to react to this. She still didn't admit anything's going on between them, but she doesn't have to. I can see it in her eyes as she silently pleads with me not to make a big deal out of this. And I won't. I never liked Jesse to begin with. He was arrogant, pompous, and conceited. They dated in college, got engaged young. I pretended to be happy for her. She's my friend. After all, deep down, I questioned whether it would last. Considering they were both so young, too young to decide to get married. Thankfully, she realized that before it was too late, thanks to Jesse not being able to keep his dick in his pants. Well, I take in my surroundings, my voice brightening. It looks like Asher's not a struggling musician anymore, is he? Oh, this isn't his place. He's just kind of staying here, like house-sitting. Not exactly. Before she can finish her sentence, the door swings open and we both snap our heads to the entryway. I almost can't believe my eyes when they fall on Asher York leaning against the door jamb, arms crossed in front of his chest, his biceps stretching the fabric of his shirt, a wicked smile on his full lips as he admires Izzy. This is not the same Asher York I remember from all those years ago. He's more mature, more muscular, more experienced. There are hints of the man I saw a handful of times during some of Izzy's pre-wedding festivities, but his short, dark hair is now longer, the strong jawline sporting a sexy 5 o'clock shadow. It's only been 6 or 7 years, but he seems like a different person. Then again, he could probably say the same about me. When I told you it was okay for you both to crash here, I meant inside the house, not on the front stoop. He jokes, his eyes never leaving Izzy. Hey, Ash. A blush blooms on her cheeks. her lips kicking up into a brilliant smile. Then she looks away, nervously pushing her hair behind her ear. Thanks for this. It's nothing, you know that. His words are laden with a sincerity I feel deep in my core. I was thrilled to hear your voice, considering I thought you'd be 35,000 feet in the air by now. I guess the universe had different plans. I guess so. Izzy peers up at him through thick lashes, her chest rising and falling in a quicker pattern. Something about the way Asher holds her gaze makes me think he doesn't want to look away. Then he glances in my direction, clearing his throat. Chloe, good to see you again. I like the hair. It suits you. I pass him a wry smile. Thanks for letting us stay here. Anytime. I'd never turn away a friend in need. He steps back, gesturing for us to enter the house. I lean into Izzy. Hear that he'll never turn away a friend in need. I waggle my eyebrows at her as we walk into the magnificent foyer complete with high ceilings and modern chandelier hanging overhead. Oh, hush, it's not like that. I grin. You want it to be like that, though, right? Chewing on her lower lip, she shrugs. Maybe. All right, Asher. I say when Izzy and I step into the kitchen after getting a brief tour of the luxurious house and changing into our bathing suits. Whose house is this? I turn around slowly, craning my head back, my voice seeming to echo against the tile in the cavernous space. Izzy said you're not house-sitting. So what are you doing in a place like this? Don't think I can afford it myself. He looks up from forming a mixture of ground beef and onions into patties. Last I heard, you were playing bars in LA, trying to make it big. Maybe I've made it big. Have you? I place my hands on the large island, leaning toward him, my lips pressed into a tight line. If he'd made it big, I would have heard. He considers my question for a moment, then shrugs. Not yet, but I'm one step closer. What do you mean I look from him to Izzy? An amused expression on her face. I notice her eyes shift ever so slightly, and I follow her line of sight. My gaze falling on a glass case in the living room. I walk toward it, my brow furrowing when I see 6 Grammy Awards enclosed within, squinting. I read the gold plate, then whirl around, my expression wide. You're in Fallen Grace, I can't hide the disbelief in my voice. Fallen Grace is this decade's most popular boy band, 5 20-something-year-old guys from London who girls scream and fawn over everywhere they go. I would have noticed Asher York standing amongst their numbers. I notice everything about everyone. He shakes his head, laughing. Certainly not. They're not really my style. Then what? They hired me to work on their new album with them, and to help with their engagement here in Vegas. If they're not your style, why are you working with them? They're going for a more mature sound, less pop, more rock. I absorb what he's saying, my mouth agape as I shake my head. How the hell did you even land this job? Dumb luck, he laughs. About 6 months ago, I had a gig with my band in Hollywood when one of the guys came by. He grabbed one of our download codes, listened to the tracks, then played it for the rest of the band. After doing a bit of research, they found out I wrote all the songs. Their manager called to see if I was interested in helping on their next album. So you're, what? Writing their songs for them, more or less. Some of them write their own stuff, too. But I'm helping fill in the gaps and produce the record. He smiles, a hint of nostalgia in his eyes as he stares into space, his expression thoughtful. Before I got their call, I was months behind on my rent and facing eviction. I was ready to throw in the towel, tell my parents they were right and I should never have left my teaching job. It goes to show that sometimes good things happen when we least expect it. He looks from me to Izzy, admiring all 5 feet, 7 inches of her slender physique, which is now on display in just a black bikini and sheer cover-up. She pulled her dark locks into a messy bun, a pair of oversized sunglasses pushed up onto her forehead. His Adam's apple bobs up and down in a hard swallow before he returns his attention to the burgers, his hands shaking slightly. It's adorable how nervous she makes him. That's all any woman wants, to know she affects a man in such a way as to completely fluster him. So, he clears his throat. What can I get you to drink, beer, wine, cocktail? You name it, and it's yours. Unless you ask for something strange. I may not have all the ingredients, but considering the parties the guys throw here, I'm pretty well stocked. I lean toward Izzy, whispering into her ear. He certainly is, isn't he? She slaps me away, hushing me. I'm happy with a beer. She looks toward the rear wall that consists of floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the pool area. It's a beer kind of day. A woman after my own heart. He comments with a wink, causing the blush on her cheeks to build even more. Then he lifts his eyes to mine. Chloe, beer's fine with me too. With a nod, he turns toward the refrigerator and opens it, taking out 2 Coronas, popping the top off them. Lime. Yes, we answer simultaneously. He retrieves a couple lime slices from a bowl on the island, sticks them into the neck of the bottle, then slides the beers toward us. We get to work pushing the lime past the neck, plugging the bottle with our thumbs, and flipping it so the lime sinks toward the bottom. Here's to making the most out of a canceled flight. Izzy raises her beer. I mirror her movements. I'd much rather be here than stuck at the airport. I'll drink to that. Asher agrees, bringing his beer toward ours. We clink bottles, then tilt them back, taking a sip. Is there anything we can help with? Izzy asks. I have it all under control. You ladies are guests here. Just relax and enjoy yourselves. Come on. He grabs the plate of burgers and starts toward the open French doors. We follow him, emerging onto the back patio area, the aroma of burning charcoal filling the air. Lincoln Asher calls out as he strides toward the grill off to the left, leaving the plate on a table beside it. Get off your phone and be social. I scan the pool area, following Asher's line of sight. A tall man with dark hair holds up a finger, not looking in our direction as he walks toward a fence beyond the pool, leaning his arms against it as he admires the view of the Vegas skyline from this vantage point on the outskirts of the city. It is quite impressive. I can only imagine how incredible the view must be at night. As much as I hate Vegas, I can certainly appreciate the beauty of it, especially from afar. He'll be done soon, I hope. Who's he? I don't actively follow Fall and Grace, but I don't recall any of them being named Lincoln. Lincoln Moore, Asher answers, placing the burgers onto the grill. It instantly sizzles. We went to college together. In fact, he was a workaholic back then, too, constantly studying. He was one of those guys who lived according to the motto, work hard, play hard. I like to think that now it's work hard, play even harder. When I hear that deep rumble, every muscle in my body tenses, my breath leaving me. It couldn't be, could it? I slowly turn around, momentarily disoriented as I stare into those green eyes once more. Izzy pinches my side, just as surprised as me. Chloe? Izzy? Asher begins, oblivious to the tension. This is my friend, Lincoln. I stare, seeing him differently now that I know his name. It suits him. Strong, yet flirty. Lincoln, this is Izzy and Dick girl. Asher looks between us, confused. Do you two know each other? Lincoln subtly nods. We've had the pleasure. The way that word leaves his tongue has my nerve endings stirring. Or perhaps I should say I've had the pleasure of experiencing her sharp tongue. Yes, I offer him a flirtatious smile, extending my hand toward him. It's nice to see you again. To formally meet you. Lincoln. He takes my hand in his, raising it to his lips, his pupils dilating as he feathers his mouth against my skin. The touch is subtle, yet it has my stomach doing backflips. Likewise, Chloe. He passes me a devilish grin, then lowers my hand. I didn't think we'd see each other again. Either did I. Funny how that keeps happening. Isn't it? How we keep bumping into each other? If I didn't know any better, I'd think something wants us to keep seeing each other. I lift my beer to my mouth. I'm beginning to think I should buy a lottery ticket. Chapter 6. Careful, careful, I caution, biting my lower lip, my breathing ragged, racked with nerves. No, not there. My voice is frantic as I meet Lincoln's fervid eyes. His concentration so intense I fear it may be our undoing. This isn't my first rodeo, he reminds me. I figured as much. But you have to watch what you're doing or it won't end well. My words come out husky, my body taut with anticipation. One wrong move and it'll all come tumbling down. I've got this, he insists through clenched jaws, his nostrils flaring. Licking his lips, he pauses. The pressure so thick I could almost burst. My chest heaves, the seconds seeming to stretch as I watch his every move. He inches closer and closer and I brace myself, my hands forming into fists. The past several hours, hell, days, culminating in this moment. Then he pushes a finger in, his motions measured and practiced. I exhale, the tension rolling off me. See, Chloe? He meets my eyes, waggling his brows. I told you I knew what I was doing. He waves the Jenga block in my face, jutting out his chest. With his head held high, he barely pays attention as he places the block on top of the tower we've spent the past hour building. It instantly falls, the pieces scattering across the table and the ground, the sound echoing throughout the patio. Groans emanate from everyone as we watch our hard work topple over. See, that's what you get for being so cocky, I taunt. Don't you know it, baby? He says with a wink before turning his attention to the mess, picking up the blocks. I can't remember the last time I've played this game. It was probably in college. Back then, of course, it was more of a drinking game. When I stumbled on a collection of board games in the living room, I figured it would be a better way to spend our time than sitting around and drinking. What's next on the agenda for game night, Izzy asks once all the Jenga blocks are back in their box. Game night, I repeat. Yeah, she gives me a knowing look. Game night. Oh, no. My response comes quick. This isn't game night. That's something bored. Married couples do to mask the fact that they have nothing in common with each other. The arrogant husband acts as if he's a know-it-all anytime his wife answers a question wrong in Trivial Pursuit. And she realizes exactly how little her husband listens to her during a rousing game of Taboo. No thanks. Not interested. A sly smile crosses Izzy's mouth, her eyes alight with excitement. Not all games are boring. I've seen this look before, the most recent being when she dragged me to what she thought was an intimate Cher concert at a club in the village. It sounded too good to be true. And it was. The Cher concert was a drag show. Regardless, we had one hell of a time. What did you have in mind? Her grin widens. You'll see. She stands and heads back into the house, a bounce in her step. I'm not sure if I should be scared or intrigued, Asher says, keeping his eyes trained on her. The one thing I've learned about Izzy is that she's rather unpredictable. He blows out a laugh, nodding. Truer words have never been spoken. Izzy reappears in the doorway seconds later and walks toward us, a box in her hand. She places it on the wicker coffee table between us, her expression smug. I told you, Chloe, game night doesn't always have to be boring. What do you guys think? Want to take things up a notch? She grins mischievously. Or are you too chicken? That's all it takes for the guys to puff out their chests, raw masculinity oozing from them. I almost expect them to bang their fists against their pecs and roar like cavemen. Never have I ever. I say, reading the words on the box. I didn't realize they'd made a board game out of it. She shrugs. Why not? I thought you were an open book, that you had no shame. I don't. Then what's stopping you? She smirks, briefly shifting her eyes to Lincoln before returning to mine. Fine, I relent with a sigh. But if we're going to play this, I'll need another beer. I begin to stand from the couch when Lincoln places his hand on my arm, gently pushing me back down. I got it. He meets my gaze, which seems to linger on my lips. Then he drops his hold on me, looking at Asher. I'll grab another round for everyone. I have a feeling we all may need it. He focuses on me once more before disappearing into the house. I might as well take advantage of this break and go change. I stand, stretching my arms over my head after sitting for the past hour. We spent all afternoon lounging by the pool, drinking beers, eating burgers, and playing board games. But now that the sun has disappeared beyond the horizon, the temperature has fallen, making it a bit too cold to be out here in just a bathing suit and a flimsy cover-up. Are you sure you're not planning to take advantage of something else? Izzy calls after me as I start toward the house. I roll my eyes, ignoring her comment, and continue into the kitchen, glancing back at them to see Asher stealing my spot next to Izzy. I'm definitely intrigued by their obvious connection, wondering how long this has been going on. At least I have a 5-hour flight tomorrow in which to get some answers. Distracted by concocting a plan to pry this information out of Izzy, I don't pay much attention to my surroundings until a movement catches my eyes. I attempt to halt in my tracks, but velocity from my quick strides prevents me from stopping, and I crash straight into Lincoln, the beers in his hands jostling and splashing. Oh my God. My face reddens as I stare at his linen shirt, which is now soaked with beer. I'm so sorry. I rush to take the fizzing bottles out of his hands and place them on the island. Grabbing a kitchen towel, I bring it to his shirt, dabbing at it. Don't worry about it. A smile illuminates his face as he looks down at me. It's just beer. I know, but He wraps his hand around my arm, preventing me from fussing over him any longer. Chloe, I straighten, swallowing hard. Yes, while we've spent all afternoon together, this is the first time we're alone. The atmosphere is just as charged as it has been the previous times we've seen each other. I have to remind myself to breathe. I said it's okay. Nothing a blow dryer can't fix. He pauses, pulling his lips between his teeth. You wouldn't happen to have a blow dryer, would you? All my stuff is back at the hotel. I pinch my lips together. A girl never leaves home without her favorite blow dryer. Come with me. I leave the towel on the island and lead him up the stairs, doing everything to settle my overwrought nerves. When we reach my room, I walk to my suitcase sitting on an ottoman by the window. Please don't tell me that's how you pack, he comments as I rummage through my haphazardly arranged things. What's wrong with it? He shakes his head. It's so unorganized. Perhaps to some people. I grab the dryer, a satisfied look on my face as I wave it in front of him. But I thrive on the chaos. If you think that's bad, I spin around and head into the bathroom. You should see my desk at the office. He follows, leaning against the door jamb, observing me as I plug in the dryer. And what is it you do? I work at a magazine. He raises his brow, obviously surprised. Doing what? I'm a celebrity news columnist. I offer a forced smile. He studies me for a moment. Gaze narrowed. Why do I get the feeling you wish you were doing something different? My posture stiffening. I peer at him. This guy barely knows me. Yet he's picked up on something my close friends haven't, that Evie never picked up on, even though she works at the same magazine. I shrug. It's a good job. It pays the bills. That's the important part. And I don't hate it. People would kill to have the job I do. I'm not ungrateful for the opportunity I have at the magazine, but I didn't exactly get it on my own merits. My father's the only reason I'm lucky enough to have that job. After I was forced to drop out of college to support my mother, who'd been fired because of her alcohol problem, I begged him to help me out with money. Instead, he called in a favor. I thought I'd eventually go back and finish my degree, be able to get a job at a different magazine because of my own qualifications, maybe Rolling Stone, or even Time. But life always seemed to get in the way. Correction. My mother always seemed to get in the way. I'm just waiting for the bottom to fall again. That's why I'm only taking a few classes at a time, inching toward my degree. I figure even if the bottom does fall, it won't be impossible to juggle my job, a couple of classes, and my mother. Chloe, you okay? I snap out of my thoughts, meeting Lincoln's concerned eyes. Sorry, just thinking about work. I clear my throat, then turn on the blow dryer. Come here, I order, and he walks toward me. I point the airstream at the beer stain on his shirt. He instantly flinches. Damn, that burns. Well, what do you expect? The only way to dry something is with hot air. I return the dryer to the spot, and he cringes again. Men. No wonder women are the ones who get pregnant. They probably wouldn't survive period cramps, let alone pushing a watermelon through a straw. Enough. He steps away and I turn off the blow dryer. New idea. He unbuttons his shirt, allowing it to fall open, which has the unfortunate side effect of my mouth growing dry. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't fantasized about what he'd look like without a shirt. The reality certainly lives up to the fantasy. Broad shoulders, sculpted biceps, firm abs, and a little trail of hair disappearing into his shorts. Fuck me, I murmur, entranced with the thought of what he has farther south. He lifts his eyes to mine, his lips curving into a flirtatious smile. I look away, flustered, trying to come up with an excuse for my verbal vomit. His grin widens as he steps toward me, his gaze narrowed. Warmth spreads through me, my heart drumming a feverish rhythm. It's so intense, I expect it to leap out of my chest at any moment. I remain locked in place, unable to move, fearing my knees would buckle if I tried to walk. He curves toward me, and I swallow hard, barely able to breathe, when his mouth is a whisper from mine. My eyelids flutter closed and I crane my head. My body aches in anticipation of his kiss, desperate to finally know how his lips taste. "Allow me," he murmurs in a seductive voice that makes me even more lightheaded. Then he removes the blow dryer from my hand. I fling my eyes open as he pulls back, a smirk on his lips. In an attempt to steady myself, I place my hand on the vanity counter, drawing in several deep breaths as I try to make sense out of what just happened. What did just happen? You're familiar with the story of the tortoise and the hare, correct? He glances at me before returning his attention to his shirt. Flicking on the blow dryer, he aims the air at the material. "Yes," I answer in a drawn-out voice, confused about this line of questioning. My litigation professor in law school often spoke of it in relation to a trial. "So you're a lawyer?" I place a hand on my hip. I'm not sure what I thought Lincoln did, but I didn't expect him to say he's a lawyer. I grew up around lawyers. My father's chief general counsel for the biggest newspaper in the country, if not the world. None of the lawyers on his staff ever looked like Lincoln. If they did, I might visit him more often, attend more of his work functions. Not master of the universe, master of the courtroom. In a manner of speaking, yes, but that's beside the point. I saunter toward him. Then what is the point? He shuts off the blow dryer, running his hand over the fabric to check for any dampness. Content, he shrugs his shirt back on, much to my disappointment. A shirtless Lincoln Moore truly is a sight to behold. In the shirtless Olympics, he'd wow the judges with a near-perfect score. Do you know what the hare's mistake was? Yes, I smirk. He was cocky, thought he'd get what he wanted no matter what. He laughs, the sound causing my demeanor to momentarily crack. That's true, but his problem was sloppy execution. Sloppy how so? He went out of the gate at full speed. There was no warm-up. Fire builds in his gaze. No build-up. And when he saw he was in the lead, he took a break. You don't think it's okay to take a break? I think it's lazy. Certain aspects of life require a bit more finesse, a bit more planning, a bit more effort. And let's not forget the most important part. And what's that? That the tortoise is the one who crossed the finish line first. He leans toward me, so close I can taste the sweetness of the beers he's consumed. And I am very interested in crossing that finish line. A shiver rolls down my spine, the double meaning in his words driving me wild with need. Then he straightens, buttoning his shirt the rest of the way. But not until I've fully run the race. Well, I guess it's time for me to fire the starter pistol. I start to walk past him, but he grasps my arm and yanks my body against his. It feels like all the air's been sucked from my lungs as I stare into his striking green eyes. Haven't you figured it out by now? His lips skim against mine. What's that? I already fired that pistol Saturday night. Chloe, we've just been running laps around each other since then. But even when you run laps, you need to stop for a drink of water. You need to quench your thirst. Is that what we're doing now? Quenching our thirst. Why don't you tell me? His grip on me tightens as a groan falls from his throat, heady and sexy, forcing a stirring deep in my core. He licks his lips, yearning covering his expression as he closes the distance. I brace myself for his kiss, mouth tingling, synapses firing, when every light in the room suddenly snaps off, shrouding us in darkness. We both stiffen, remaining still, waiting for the lights to come back on. When they don't, he pulls away, releasing me. I look around, but the bathroom is pitch black. Of course, we'd be stuck in the one room with no windows. I'll go see what's going on, he states with authority. The door's around here somewhere. I put my hands out in front of me, reaching for something to tell me exactly where we are in this ridiculously opulent bathroom that's probably bigger than my entire apartment. Why did you close it to begin with? In case we needed a bit of privacy. I follow Lincoln's scent, confident we must be near the door. And why would we need a bit of pry? My leg hits something, the velocity of my strides catapulting me forward without being able to see. I wave my arms around, grasping onto the first thing my hand finds, which also happens to be Lincoln, and we land on the floor with a loud thump, At least my fall was cushioned by his body. He, unfortunately, didn't fare as well and grunts. "You okay?" "Great," he answers in a high-pitched falsetto. "Did I trail off, noticing my knees putting pressure on something. Shit. I'm sorry." I adjust my position and hear his exhaled breath. "I had a feeling you were a ball buster." He groans. "I didn't think you'd literally bust my balls." "Want me to massage them to make them feel better?" I joke. He's silent for a moment, then breaks into a throaty laugh. It echoes against the tile, filling the space. "Thanks for the offer, but right now, I'm pretty sure my dick is shriveled up. It'll need some coaxing to come out and play again." I run my hands up his firm chest, the sensation of being this close sparking a need for even more, to feel more of him. Bringing my mouth toward his, I murmur, "Challenge accepted." He instantly hardens beneath me, and I crook my mouth into a smile, feeling powerful that I have this kind of effect on him. Cautiously raising myself back to my feet, I step around the room, extending my arms in front of me. When my hand brushes against a metal object, I stop, wrapping my fingers around it. I turn the knob and open the door, the light of the moon illuminating the bedroom through the windows. "There you are," Izzy says breathlessly as she rounds the corner into the room. Asher follows, carrying a flashlight. When Lincoln steps into the bedroom, she halts. "Both of you," she adds, her tone not quite a statement, not exactly a question either. "Did we blow a fuse?" I ask in an attempt to steer the conversation away from the curiosity in her gaze. "I don't know," she responds slyly. "Did you?" "I don't think it was a fuse," Lincoln interrupts. I look in his direction to see him staring out the back window that displayed a beautiful view of the Strip earlier. Now the only lights visible are those of cars snaking up Las Vegas Boulevard. No green glow from the MGM Grand. No Eiffel Tower at the Paris Hotel beckoning people to have their photo taken. No gigantic Ferris wheel spinning a slow circle. It's all dark, the sky black, apart from the moon and stars. Like I said, Lincoln continues when we all remain silent, congregating around him and staring into the darkness. I don't think it was a fuse. Chapter 7. Wait a minute, I say, struggling to capture a breath. My stomach aching from laughing so much over the past hour as we played a toned-down version of Never Have I Ever on the back patio under the light of the moon. After realizing there was nothing to do but wait for the electricity to come back on, we decided to continue on with our game night. What else could we do? It took our minds off what could have happened to cause all of Las Vegas to lose power. "You were cursed by a cat." Fluffy was not a normal cat. Lincoln sips on his beer, but keeps his eyes focused on me. "The cat's name was Fluffy. Should have been Satan," he mumbled. "What did the cat do to make you so terrified of it?" "Existed. One of his girlfriends adopted the dang thing from the shelter." Asher pipes in, sharing the story of Fluffy, the devil cat. "She was nuts," Lincoln adds, certifiable. "Are we talking about Fluffy or the girlfriend?" I ask. "The girlfriend," he answers, then pauses. "Well, both. I'm pretty sure Mia's psychosis rubbed off on Fluffy. What could a cat do that's so bad to make you think it cursed you?" "I love cats. I offer. They're the perfect pet. They shit in a box and clean up after themselves. They're nature's little serial killers. You cannot trust a cat, or a cat person." "Well then." I settle into the couch. "I guess you can't trust me, because I'm a cat person." "Were any of your cats cock blockers?" he presses. No, but I never bring guys to my place to begin with." This piques Lincoln's interest and he tilts his head. "Ever. It's one of her rules," Izzy states. "Don't shit where you eat or something." His brow furrows. Doesn't that phrase refer to sleeping with a coworker? To some, but I expand it to mean not wanting to ruin anything that's important to me. And not bringing a date home is important. It complicates things. And I like uncomplicated. The rest of my life is difficult enough. So rule number 1 is never let them into my home. After all, Lincoln begins, "Home is where the heart is." I peer at him, my mouth falling open. People I've known most of my life don't fully understand why I refuse to invite a guy to my apartment. But Lincoln gets it. Maybe we're not as different as I originally believed. "This isn't about me," I say quickly. "This is about Fluffy." "Right, Fluffy. Like Asher pointed out, My ex adopted him, referred to him as our baby. When I ended things, she went a little crazy. How crazy on a scale of 1 to single white female? She would have been more than happy to pin some murders on me. He replies, understanding my movie reference. At least she never attempted to adopt my appearance. Suffice it to say, she didn't deal with the breakup well. One day, I got home from work to find she left the cat on my front stoop with a note saying she couldn't handle being a single parent, and I needed to step up my game. I choke on my beer at the ridiculousness of it all. I've done some crazy things in my life, but nothing like this. Sounds like you found yourself a clinger. I think she was just lonely and looking for attention. He responds thoughtfully, because once she started dating someone new, she forgot about me and Fluffy. I can certainly understand that. My mother's the same way. At first, I couldn't believe she'd leave the cat outside for what could have been hours in the middle of winter in Manhattan. Wait a minute. I shoot my eyes to his. You live in New York. There's a sparkle in his gaze as he nods, brushing the pad of his thumb against his bottom lip. Chelsea. I'm in the village. What are the odds? I sip on my beer, hiding my smile. I'm thinking I really need to play the lottery now. He smirks before continuing his story. So I took the cat in. As much as I'm more of a dog person, I wouldn't abandon an animal. He was a pretty easygoing cat. Like you said, he shit in a box and took care of himself. But that first night, he trails off. Yes, I woke up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. That's when I noticed him sitting on the opposite side of the bed, staring at me. He was probably curious, Izzy offers. He slowly shakes his head. No, because he would have eventually gotten bored. But he just sat there, watching my every move. And it happened night after night after night. Then, about a month later, I started seeing this new girl. Things were going pretty good, so I brought her back to my place. I ignore the pang of jealousy at the idea of Lincoln bringing a girl home. I have no stake over him. Hell, we haven't even kissed. There's no reason for me to be jealous of any women in his life, past or present. Things started heating up and we were about to cross the finish line, I say, completing his thought, giving him a knowing look. Precisely. And that's when they waved the red flag. On what grounds? Due to the cat staring at us, it was creepy. And I couldn't, what Asher laughs, you couldn't get it up. It's not that I couldn't get it up, but knowing that cat was looking at us with his beady eyes, nothing helped. It's almost like Mia knew that would happen. Like the cat had some mystical powers and she purposefully left him to live at my place so I'd never have sex again. We all burst out laughing, and I swiped the tears forming in my eyes. Well, I hope you found a way to get rid of the curse. I look at Lincoln beside me on the couch. I sure did. About 3 months later, my boss was going through a tough time because the family cat was hit by a car and his kids were distraught over it. I said I had a cat I could part with if he thought it would help. He refused at first, but I insisted. So now I'm free to, see the checkered flag. Precisely. But what about your boss and his wife, Izzy asks. Don't they? That's the thing, Lincoln interrupts excitedly. I asked him about it. You asked him. How does that even come up in conversation? I'm not quite sure a cock-blocking cat is a normal topic. He waves me off. He invited me over for a dinner party. We both had a bit to drink. So I asked. He was convinced I was messing with him. Which leads me to the only possible conclusion. My ex tried to curse me with her cat. We all roar with laughter once more. And it's a remarkable sound, particularly against the emptiness. It's strange how silent everything becomes when there's no power or cell service, no constant pings or vibrations from phone alerts, no hum of electricity. We've been forced back to simpler times when we actually have to communicate face to face, our only source of light and heat the fire pit we're sitting around. Okay, who's next? Izzy returns her attention to the coffee table, then frowns. We're out of cards. I chew on my bottom lip. Maybe it's time we go off script. We stopped with the board game part of this a while back. I gesture to the game board where all the pieces were abandoned long ago, in favor of just going through the stack of cards containing different scenarios. Maybe it's time to make things more interesting and ask different kinds of questions. What kinds of questions did you have in mind? Izzy waggles her brows, grinning mischievously. I don't know. Something deeper, a little more personal. Therapist personal or sexy personal? Therapist personal. I answer confidently. Then I catch Lincoln's gaze. And sexy personal. There's an instant shift in the atmosphere. Until now, we've all been relaxed. Just a bunch of people getting to know each other or catching up with old friends. But with those two words, we're about to change the rules. I'm okay with that. Asher takes a swig of his beer, his demeanor giving off the impression that he has nothing to hide. We're all adults. Not much makes me uncomfortable. We are all adults, aren't we? Izzy comments, her mouth a tight line as she taps a fingernail against her upper lip. What's going through that brain of yours? I ask guardedly. Instead of sharing, she jumps up, grabbing one of the flashlights off the table, then proceeds into the house. What is she doing? Asher floats his gaze to me. Your guess is as good as mine. We sit in silence, apart from the music coming from Asher's phone, all of us curious as to what Izzy's up to. Finally, she reappears, a wide smile on her face. What's going on? I ask as she approaches. Like Asher said, she begins with authority. We're all adults, correct? Yes, we mumble, more or less at the same time. I'm declaring a circle of trust. A bubble, so to speak. She waves her arms in a circle through the air around us, enclosing us in an invisible dome. I submit for your consideration a new take on Never Have I Ever. I'm not sure I want to know what this new take is. Asher jokes. You probably don't, considering it's how I met your brother, but... She holds out her arms, wavering slightly. Physical proof of how much she's had to drink. Circle of trust. She pauses, waiting for us to agree, which we all do with a quick nod. We'll go around in a circle, saying something we've never done. If someone says they've never done something and you have, you drink. The changed rules apply to the person speaking. For example, if I say, never have I ever shot Abraham Lincoln, obviously, no one here will drink. In that case, we go to the penalty round. She opens her palm, revealing a pair of dice I recognize from the goodie bags we received this weekend. But they're not your traditional dice. Instead of little dots indicating a number, they have words. One is an action, the other a body part. How do we know who's... Squinting. I read off the first words I spy on the dice. Thigh we have to bite. She grabs her nearly empty beer and drains it before waving it in front of us. That's what this is for. Whoever the bottle lands on is the lucky winner, or perhaps unlucky. I am not biting Asher's thigh, Lincoln says in a voice that sounds even deeper than his usual one. And I am not... Asher grabs the dice, watching as they roll across the surface of the table, sucking his finger. Izzy sighs an exaggerated sigh, flopping back onto the couch beside Asher. Men. This game is much more fun with only girls. They don't care about this shit. We have no problem licking each other's tongues. Both guys instantly snap their eyes to her. It's so adorable that just the idea of two women making out gets their hormones running wild. But fine, she continues, ignoring the way Asher adjusts his shorts. How about this? Everyone gets one free pass. Of course. Just say something you know at least one other person sitting here has already done, and you won't have to worry about spinning the bottle. Unless you want to. She scoops up the dice and rolls. Blow on someone's neck. She looks around, lifting her bottle. Are you all in? Lincoln flashes his eyes to me, a devilish glint in them. It is a bit juvenile and reminiscent of drinking games we played in college. But we're in the city of sin. What fun is being here during a blackout if you can't sin a little? Blackout Club, I say. What? She scrunches her brows. The first rule of Blackout Club. You don't talk about a Blackout Club. Asher and Lincoln finish in unison. Every man in their 20s and 30s knows a Fight Club reference when they hear one. Exactly. I raise my beer, meeting Izzy's eyes. Like you said, this is a bubble. We're all consenting adults. Single consenting adults. I'm in. Me too, Asher says, lifting his own bottle. We all shift our attention to Lincoln. He raises his beer, and we all clink bottles. Sealing the deal. Let the games begin. Chapter 8. An hour and 2 beers later, Asher confidently says, Never have I ever gotten so drunk I had to be carried out of a bar. I glance around our little party. Our circle of trust. Neither Lincoln nor I raise our beer to our mouths. I've carried more than my fair share of drunk people out of a bar, but I've never been carried out myself. When I look at Izzy, she smirks, slowly bringing her bottle to her lips. Something about the smug expression on Asher's face leads me to believe he was aware of this incident. Okay, I place my lukewarm beer on the coffee table and lean across it to where she sits next to Asher. There's obviously a story here. I need to hear it. Fine. She takes another sip of her beer, then faces me. It was Christmas break my junior year of college. I was spending it in Connecticut with my family. Jesse was in Massachusetts. I had planned to visit him, but decided to surprise him and go early. Jesse, your brother Lincoln asks, looking to Asher. Yes, they were engaged. Izzy finishes. Until that night. A flicker of heartache passes across her expression before she recovers. Their parents are snowbirds who flee the cold north for the south every winter. The guys usually went down to Florida for Christmas. Well, Jesse was getting back into town that day. Asher was already back, since he was a music teacher and school had resumed. Anyway, I told Asher my plan to surprise Jesse when he got home that day. I had this entire scenario in my head. At first, it all did go according to plan. Asher left me a key to Jesse's place so I'd have enough time to freshen up after the 2-hour drive. I even made him the lasagna he loved, thinking he was probably going to be hungry after traveling all day. When I heard the car pull into the driveway, I went into the dining room, taking a page from Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman. You know, when she surprised Edward wearing a tie, and that's it. Sexy, right? Her expression falls. Until Jesse walked into the house and I could hear moans and giggles. I exhale, my hand covering my heart. I may not have the healthiest approach to relationships, but I've never cheated. I've never been anything but honest about what they were getting into with me laid back. No strings, uncomplicated fun, nothing more. Still, a pang squeezes my chest. Thinking how Izzy must have felt at that moment, he tried to apologize, promise it was just a one-time thing, but in my heart, I knew that wasn't the case. That it had probably been going on a lot longer, especially considering she was the one he ran to the second he landed in Boston, not me. So I stormed out of there. After getting dressed, of course, she says, her voice lightening. I was a mess and not thinking clearly. I was so convinced he was the perfect man for me. Although hindsight's always 20/20, as I tried to figure out what to do, I passed a bar, which just so happened to be where my band was performing that night. Asher continues. Around the time we finished our first set, I looked up to see her sitting at the bar, some punk putting his hands all over her, but she was too drunk to realize what was going on. Not one of my finer moments. I knew some kind of shit had to go down for her to be there when she was supposed to be with Jesse, so I hauled her out of there before something untoward happened, canceled the rest of our gig that night, much to the displeasure of the bar's owner, and took her to my place to sober up. The next morning, as he helped me nurse one of the worst hangovers of all time, I told him what happened, to which he said, "You deserve to be with someone who looks at you every day as if they won the lottery." He meets her gaze, a tender moment passing between them before Izzy quickly averts her eyes, clearing her throat. So that's how I was carried out of a bar. Who's next? Her voice brightens, an obvious attempt to get the focus off her and Asher. It's your turn, isn't it, Chloe? I stare at her, dozens of questions on the tip of my tongue. I want to know why she never told me about this. Why she never mentioned Asher at all. Did they hook up that weekend? But she hid it because of how Jesse would react. Despite the heartache and pain he'd caused her, she'd still care about him. She probably still does. That's the type of person she is. Izzy narrows her gaze on me, wordlessly telling me not to press the topic. So I don't. Not now. I don't want to ruin the fun we've been having. And I do admit I've had a lot of fun. I suddenly have a new appreciation for game night. Okay then, I adjust my posture. Never have I ever given or received a lap dance. Try again, Izzy sings, already asked. Crap, that's right. I pull my lips between my teeth, trying to come up with something that hasn't already been said, and at least one person has done. This has proven to be the difficult part of the game. Considering Izzy's the only person I know well and I'm running out of risque things I'm confident she's done, factor in the rule that you must say something before time is up, added after Asher took several minutes during one of his turns. And it's a bit more stressful, yet exciting. 10 seconds. Chloe, Lincoln taunts, waving his phone in front of me, displaying the countdown. Okay. I bounce on the seat, adrenaline filling me as I rack my brain. Then I look back at Lincoln, the timer only showing 2 seconds, and say the first thing I think of. Never have I ever gotten freaky in an elevator. My voice rings out as I bring my own beer bottle to my lips. Taking a small sip, I expect someone to drink with me, indicating they've done it. But no one does. Remember, we're in a bubble, circle of trust, blackout club and all that. It's okay if you have. I shift my eyes around, everyone shaking their heads. Looks like you earned a penalty round. Izzy pushes the bottle and dice my way, her lips kicking up into a sly grin. So far, everyone else has done this at least once. The first time, Izzy had to touch Lincoln's finger. We all laughed when they did a little team finger touch with each other. Izzy fanning herself afterward, pretending to be all hot and bothered from the contact. A few minutes later, Lincoln had to roll after he couldn't come up with something in enough time. Lucky him. He had to blow on Asher's chest. Things started to heat up a little when Asher had to bite Izzy's ear. The instant his teeth clamped onto her lobe, her face flushed and lips parted as her eyes fluttered closed. She can insist they're just friends all she wants. There's more going on. Doing my best to push down the nervous flutter in my stomach, I reach for the dice and toss them onto the coffee table. They teeter on their edges before falling over, landing on suck and tongue. A chorus of whoa and a few whistles fill the night sky as I swallow hard. Looks like things are about to get very interesting, Izzy comments. I suppose they are. I grab the bottle and give it a spin. Now I know how contestants on The Price is Right must feel when they spin the wheel, trying to get as close to $1 as they can without going over. The anticipation and tightening in their body as it nears that magical number. Then the despair when it lands on a nickel. I wonder if Lincoln is my dollar, or if he's simply a nickel and I should spin again. The seconds seem to stretch as the bottle takes a few more turns around the circle. Each journey getting slower and slower until it gradually bypasses Asher, then stops close to Lincoln, which causes Izzy to whistle. With all the confidence I've found sexy since the beginning. He leans back, draping an arm along the back of the couch. You can use your pass if you want, he says flirtatiously, raking his gaze over my body before zeroing in on my lips. I'll understand. Rules are rules, I reply in a throaty voice, batting my lashes. Plus, I'd rather save my pass for when I have to suck on Izzy's chest. Both men groan. I can't help but laugh. What is it about two girls together that always seems to force men to revert to hormone-crazed teenagers? Please don't. Asher begs. Use your pass if you have to touch her ear. But not that. Anything but that. We'll cross that bridge if we get to it. But for now, smiling a coy smile. I turn to Lincoln, crawling across the couch and into his lap, my legs straddling him. He stiffens beneath me, jaw clenching, eyes darkening as they remain focused on me, inching my mouth toward his. I murmur, I believe the dice have spoken. I believe they have, and that red flag that was being waved earlier, it's green. Baby. He brings his hand to my head, digging his fingers into my scalp. Conditions are very favorable. I can feel that, slowly. I erase the last bit of distance between us, pressing my mouth to his. The kiss is soft and reverent at first, neither one of us pushing forward. I can't. Not yet. Breathless from the sensation of this first touching of our lips, my body buzzing to life. If this is how I react from an innocent kiss, I shudder to think what will happen when he deepens it. As if able to read my thoughts, a groan rips from Lincoln's throat, his hold on me tightening as he yanks me harder into him. I gasp at the feel of him, how excited he is. He takes advantage of my open mouth and swipes his tongue against mine. Instant fireworks erupt in my stomach, the raw need making me kiss him with more urgency, more desperation. more unsatisfied hunger. I grasp at him, subtly circling my hips to relieve some of the pressure building inside me. But I fear nothing will extinguish the match he lit at our first meeting, the spark he's flamed with each subsequent encounter, so much so that the fire won't be put out easily. Not anymore. He brings his hands to my face, our fevered kiss turning into something sweeter, more ardent, more personal, offering me a different side of him, an unexpected side. He exhales, breathing into me. It's such a strange thing, feeling another person's air expand in your lungs, giving you life. I don't even know this man, but that's what he's doing, making me feel alive. He sensually caresses my tongue with his, heat curling down my spine as I try to remember the last time a kiss made me feel this. I don't even know what this is. And for once, I don't care. I'm just enjoying the moment before our bubble bursts. Our motions slowing, I gradually pull back, still resting my lips on his. I don't want to stop feeling them, tasting them, savoring them. Not yet. His kisses are the sweetest drug and I an addict, wanting to squeeze every last drop I can. Say you want more, he whispers, his grip on my head keeping me from escaping his demand. I wouldn't try to escape him even if I could. I want more. A smile slowly curves his mouth. I want more too. I want so much.